Every day, software teams run headfirst into a brutal physics problem. On one side, you have the pressure to ship features at breakneck speed. On the other, the demand for rigid structural integrity and compliance. Usually, these forces collide and progress grinds to a halt. Organizations are told they need to deploy faster than ever. But in reality, heavy regulatory requirements, existing legacy tech debt, and the need to ship across multiple platforms slow development to a crawl. Attempting to solve this usually leads down one of two paths. Traditional custom development gives your engineers infinite control over the codebase, but results in slow time to market and massive resource costs just to maintain the plumbing. This decision tree shows how projects typically split down the middle. If you avoid the time and cost of the left path, you end up on the right, basic no-code tools. Visual builders offer immediate speed, but the moment you need to scale or pass a security audit, you hit a hard ceiling. Xuda is positioned as a viable middle ground. It operates as an end-to-end deployment infrastructure built to bridge the gap between AI-driven prototyping speeds and rigid enterprise governance. Rather than treating the database, the code environment, and the servers as separate problems to solve, Xuda unifies the build environment, the data layer, and the hosting infrastructure into a single ecosystem. We are going to bypass the marketing copy today. Instead, we'll map Xuda's specific capabilities against 3 distinct business realities to see if adopting their platform makes sense for your operational bottlenecks. Selecting a development platform is an architectural commitment. The model only works if the tool aligns with the specific frictions currently slowing your team down. We will start with startups and digital agencies. Here, the primary bottleneck is time. Margins are tight, and limited runway dictates a mandate for extreme development speed. Xuda tackles the initial build phase directly. You type a prompt, and their AI app builder automatically scaffolds the underlying workflows, page structures, and data models for your project. This comparison table maps the feature directly to the business outcome. Using the AI builder generates a runnable minimum viable product and a live preview URL in minutes. You can hand a working prototype to a client or a stakeholder immediately and iterate in real time. But there is a mandatory trade-off for this speed. To move this fast, your team has to stop writing custom boilerplate code from scratch and instead adapt to Xuda's Visual Studio interface and its specific object-oriented models. For agencies, speed is only half the equation. The secondary priority is finding ways to increase profit margins by creating alternative, recurring revenue streams. Once an application, an AI agent, or a specific widget is built, agencies can package their completed work and list it directly on the Xuda marketplace. The upside is recurring revenue routed through built-in Stripe Connect onboarding. The trade-off is distribution. Your ability to monetize those templates is tied entirely to the overall market adoption of the Xuda platform itself. For startups and agencies, Xuda functions as an accelerator that converts hours spent on traditional development directly into extended runway and new revenue channels. The calculus changes for enterprise IT, healthcare, and government sectors. Here, risk aversion, strict data residency laws like HIPAA, and the need for sovereign hosting take precedence over absolute speed. These organizations require absolute perimeter security. Data cannot bleed across shared servers, and the corporate boundary must remain completely intact. Xuda answers this by allowing organizations to completely bypass shared hosting. You can deploy projects directly onto private VPS, localized dedicated data centers, or entirely on-premises behind your own corporate firewall. The table updates here for enterprise IT. It connects localized hosting directly to regulatory compliance. You guarantee data residency without sacrificing access to modern web capabilities. Unlocking these sovereign environments requires enterprise tier plan investments. Furthermore, you will need dedicated internal IT governance to physically manage and monitor those localized deployments. Inside those secure boundaries, Xuda controls change management by embedding version control and role-based team permissions into the foundation of every single project. This automatically captures detailed security logs and enables one-click rollbacks for compliance audits. However, it enforces a centralized approval process that may frustrate decentralized developer teams used to moving on their own terms. For enterprise IT, Xuda trades the chaos of fragmented development teams for audit-ready governance. Next, we look at physical world operations. In logistics, retail floors, and manufacturing, software has to survive unpredictable environments and communicate with raw hardware. Xuda handles this challenge through multi-surface deployment. From a single centralized project file Teams can render progressive web apps, multi-page apps, or fully native iOS and Android builds without rewriting the core logic. Looking at the logistics row on our table, that single project render translates directly to offline PWAs. Field teams get apps equipped with barcode scanning and location services that keep functioning smoothly even when network connectivity drops. Standard mobile functions are covered quickly by library plugins. But if you rely on deeply custom hardware APIs completely outside of Xuda's ecosystem, expect to spend time on advanced manual configuration. This hardware relationship is especially critical in manufacturing and IoT, where ingesting live telemetry dictates plant floor operations. When continuous streams of data come from physical devices, the system must ingest, process, and route that information instantly to trigger automated rules. Streaming this telemetry into Xuda allows you to power live WebSocket dashboards for floor operators. The trade-off here is architectural. You are binding your operational data visualization to Xuda's specific message broker runtime. For physical operators, Xuda acts as a reliable bridge. It takes raw hardware telemetry and pushes it securely to the frontline workers who need it, exactly where they are. Adopting Xuda requires a full architectural commitment. To see the benefits, you have to lean into their entire ecosystem rather than using it as a one-off tool. Maximizing your return on investment requires running their entire pipeline. You start with the AI app builder, refine the interface in their studio, and push the final product straight into their one-click hosting infrastructure. This quadrant chart maps agility against security and governance. Notice the danger zone plotted outside the main grid. If building deeply bespoke algorithms or apps requiring bare metal rendering, this platform isn't the right fit. But if priority is speed, the entry point maps clearly to the top left quadrant, serving high-speed environments without dragging you down with initial governance overhead. Xuda is an immense force multiplier, but only for organizations willing to let go of maintaining fragmented, custom-built tech stacks. Let's break down the final recommendations. For startups, Xuda is a strong match. It gives founders the ability to validate an MVP immediately, with assurance that the application won't need a total rewrite when the user base scales. For agencies, the platform allows teams to cut boilerplate code and monetize on a dedicated marketplace. As the chart stretches top right, we see the enterprise profile. For IT leaders, Xuda provides a path to modernize internal tools while keeping everything secured behind a firewall. Look at your current projects. Evaluate your specific operational bottlenecks, your regulatory requirements, and your speed mandates against the capabilities we mapped out today. Development speed and strict enterprise governance don't have to be mutually exclusive. You just have to commit to the right architectural foundation from day one.